All right, I want to take a quick look at GeoGebra to help us give another visual example of kind of what's going on here with this one. And so I've graphed for us here y equals sine of x. And so sine of x is showing up here. Now this is in radians, and the way we can tell is that at 0, sine's at 0, and it's going up. Well, at maximum, not really sure what that is, but then it starts heading down, and it's a little bit past 3, and oh, that value is pi, around 3.14. And so this is in radians right here, the sine of x. And so the period is 2 pi, so 3.14 times 2, which is 6.28 something. And that's right where, again, we've got one completed period of y equals sine of x. Now on top of that, I want to change our, want to graph it here by changing our b value, that 3. Notice the 3 put in this one here. So I'm going to throw that onto our graph, and notice how it's the same. It still starts at 0, and just 3 entire waves, 3 entire periods are completed by the time the original function completed 1. And again, that's because of the b value. So it's the period has now been cut into thirds, and what originally took one, where originally one period took all the way to 2 pi, now we're able to get 3 in because the periods are so much smaller. And now there's the graphs that we just were doing just a moment ago. They didn't look all crunched up like this. And why is that? And the reason was, I want to point out what happened there, was that we changed the values along our axis, specifically the x-axis, or the angle for our graph. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take away the sine of x function, and we're going to stretch out the axis right now. And I want you to notice how it's going to look a lot like the original function right now. So here we go. I'm just going to grab the axis and stretch it out. Notice how the values here are getting farther and farther apart, farther and farther apart. The graph itself is not changing. The values are all the same still. We're still getting 3 complete functions in by the time we get to 2 pi, which well now has gone off the screen, which was back over here. We're still getting in 3 complete waves by the time we get to 6.28. But as we stretch out our axis, notice how it looks a lot like what our sine wave did originally. And again, that's because we changed the x values, the labels that we are using here. So just be aware of that. So back in the problem, and here's why the graph looks the same, even though the now there's a 3 in there, and it's because back here, so let's pull up that the one we were just working on. What originally this would have been, let's go blue. This originally would have been pi over 2, but now it's only 1/3 of that. It's pi over 6. We stretched out our x-axis so that we could more easily fit it in on the graph and be a little bit more accurate with it. So just want to give you aware with what was going on there. All right, hope that helps.